Now I want to compare this Three of Thought, which is traditionally Three of Sword, but with this deck, let's say we just look at this card and say this: loving angels surround you to heal and comfort you. The sadness you feel will fade away in time, and then you'll be able to see clearly how important this situation has been for your spiritual growth. Take the time you need to forgive yourself and others so that you can embrace the future with joy. I want to compare it to the Mary L. Three of Swords. Yes, the Mary L. Now, I am thinking this video is probably too dark, in which case I may have to redo this whole thing, but we'll see. I'm going to read to you what the Mary L has to say about Three of Swords. Okay, little lamb who made thee, dost thou know who made thee, gave thee life and bid thee feed by the stream and o'er the mead. It's William Blake, Songs of Innocence and Experience. You know, of course, the Mary L is very highbrow. Compared to this, this is like talking to a 6-year-old. The Mary L is like talking to, I don't know, a grad student, right? A descending dove, symbol of love, into the flesh he goes. He carries the arrows of the sun's light, of God's creative seminal light, through the clouds and through the air to earth. A wedding, heaven and earth. Little dove, so gentle and pure, falling like an untamed snowflake, just as fleeting and delicate, virginal, melting on the fires of earth, covered by the predatory life forms, pouching, eating, and consuming, imprisoned in their cells, bone, sinew, muscle, blood, nerves, flesh. Where did you come from, dove? Where do you want to go back to? Little dove and eagle you will become. Stretch your wings and sharpen your talons. Handsome and bold, look at the curve of the earth. Find your two heads. Break free from your prison and flesh. Shed it like a winter coat in spring and break free from gravity. Fly triumphant to heaven, from whence you came, conquering hero, eagle and man, exalted, Scorpio risen, experienced, knowing, intentional. A dove, the seed of stars. I had a dream once of swords and doves mating and becoming an eagle. Of course, the Mary L is so much more poetic and so much more highbrow, but listen to this again. Loving angels surround you to heal and to comfort you. The sadness you feel will fade away in time, and then you'll be able to see clearly how important the situation has been for your spiritual growth. Take the time you need to forgive yourself and others so that you can embrace the future with joy. Are they not saying the same thing? The answer to that, I think, is yes. These two are saying the same thing. It's just that the kind of language that you use is very different. Mary L., Marie White, and Doreen Virtue is saying the same thing about the Three of Swords. The difference is, look at the art. This is original, made over 8 years. This one is taken from the internet, cut and paste into this pretty thing, probably over a week or something. And the language that they use is very different, but it is essentially saying the same thing. So my point is that I can only speak for this deck, is that if you let this deck speak for itself and don't bring in whatever your understanding of your previous other more traditional system into the picture, this is actually a very functional deck. It is actually quite a good deck, and I am quite surprised because I was ready to move this along. With the chatter around Doreen Virtue that I saw, it did prejudice me a little bit, but then I was determined to give it a chance. Sometimes you lose some, you win some, right? You look at a deck and you thought, I'm not sure, but I'll give it a go, and then it turned up to be you just can't work with it. And then sometimes you are pleasantly surprised and thought, actually, I can work with this. And so when I'm a little stressed and I don't have enough mental space to reflect, to ponder, to look inward, to meditate, or to do all that mentally demanding stuff, this is a really good deck to use because it is more structured and it is more it gets to it addresses things in a more structured way because it is a tarot, but it isn't as messy as Oracle because it isn't as Yeah, so it has a really good feel of almost oracle-ish tarot. And so it hit that right spot between a place where you need some structure, but you are too all over the place to do the proper work to obtain the messages that a good tarot deck will give you, like the Mary L. It's really heavy going. But Oracle sometimes is too unstructured and too open-ended for you to be able to garner any solid, any clear-cut messages when you're quite emotional or you're clouded or you're all over the place. So this deck has actually filled that space surprisingly. And you know what? In that space, for me, there's no other deck that can fulfill this function. So my advice to you, if you are prejudiced about Doreen Virtue and Ridley Valentine, is just to throw away the book, because I don't think you'll miss a lot. The book says a bit more, but I don't think it uses more word and it sort of flesh out other things, but I don't think you're missing anything by just looking at that. And also throw away the box, because their market positioning is clear, but it's kind of besides the point. So I can't speak for any other Doreen Virtue decks because I really don't like them. The language around the angels and heaven and God around here can be a little, not the God bit, because I can tolerate that, but the heaven and angels, the way they operate in the narrative of this deck isn't quite to my liking, but they are almost trivial enough to ignore, because their voices, the angel heaven laden lingo, isn't too dominant. It's peppered around. Obviously it is a Doreen Virtue deck after all, it is an angel deck after all, but you don't have to be an angel kind of person, and I'm not at all an angel kind of person. You don't need to be an angel anything or a Doreen Virtue anything to be able to make use of this deck. It is solid, it is nice to shovel, it has a beautiful smell, and the art is cute, and it isn't pretentious, it doesn't pretend to be anything else. And if you can just remove the Doreen Virtue market positioning and the whole dialogue that you often found her in out there, just look at this deck for what it is. It is actually a rather good deck. So I'm giving it a thumbs up.